Hey there, and welcome to my channel. This would be round two because I started the first live stream with my microphone on mute, so no one could hear me. And my StreamYard was covered, so I couldn't see any of the comments. So I now have the comments visible so I can see them. And so if you can't hear me, let me know. The mute is not turned on anymore, so you should be able to hear me. I am so glad you're here. It's the beginning of September, September 1st. So I'm going to go through my August budget recap, wrap up, show you exactly how much I spent. And then in real time, I'll show you how I use that info to plan for the next month. So I'm going to plan my September budget in real time, exactly what I do, explaining why I do things. So if you have any questions, leave them in the chat or in the comments afterwards, and I will respond to them. If you are watching this, you will be interested in From Paycheck to Prosperity. It is a completely free virtual summit designed for parents that want to get out of debt, build wealth, and raise money smart kids. So I'm working on it right now. I've got 20 awesome speakers committed to it, presenting and speaking, sharing their stories, their experiences, and tips and information for you. And like I said, it's completely free. So I am going to include a link. I will do that here in the chat box right now. And the registration is not ready yet, but this will take you to a wait list. So you can type in your name and email address if you want to be the first to get notified when it's coming. It's happening the beginning of October, and you'll be the first to notified to get your free tickets. So I'm going to go hop in to my budget, and I will try to go through this really quickly since I've already done it once, and this is the second go round. Let me share my screen here. I'll share my template. And the concept of this works whether you are using an app, a spreadsheet, pen and paper. I just like a spreadsheet because that's what works for me. It's a zero-based budget form. It's what works for me. The concept, like I said, works no matter what. So you use whatever works for you. But if you have any questions as I go through this, just type them in the comments because now I can actually see the comments. Okay, quick recap. Our actual income and spending versus our budgeted. My husband's on salary. He's a teacher, but he does extra stuff like taking tickets for sports games, things like that. They get paid a little extra for doing that. So his income was a little bit higher than planned, which is always good. My business, we do not budget anything because we try to live off of my husband's income. And then anything I earn goes towards it's like icing on the cake, extra bonus stuff. So we put it towards vacations or big house projects that we want to do. Cash back, we just put everything on a credit card, and then we earn a flat rate of 2% cash back. So everything we earn, we let it accumulate throughout the month. And at the end of the month, I will transfer it to our account. So we earned 135 this month. Our interest has gone down. If you follow my videos, we only earned 106, almost 107 this month compared to almost 200 in previous months. So we are finishing up our addition. Final inspection should be this week. And then hopefully we have a little bit of painting and touch up to do, but then hopefully we'll be done putting money towards it. So we've used up all of the money we had saved for that. So that's why our money and high yield savings accounts, the interest has gone down because we've used up all that money, which is sad, but I'm so glad to be done. So total income is higher than planned, which is always a good thing, right? But that does mean that our donations, we pay off of our gross income. So we made more money. So we are donating more, I am always happy. So technically we're over budget here, but I'm always happy to do that because it means we made more money. So now moving on to expenses, I like to start with the fixed boring and then move on to the ones that are more variable. Our mortgage is exactly what we planned because it is fixed. Now, our utilities are usually exactly as planned because they're fixed, but our electricity, I noticed we did not pay anything for electricity this month. So I double checked. I didn't miss it. I went into our bill. I logged into our account, which is the hardest part, remembering your login information, right? Logged in. We did not owe anything this month. So we've been overpaying. We are on an average payment plan and we have overpaid the past few months. So we didn't get charged anything. So I don't know how that will affect next month because we've never not paid anything before. Our bill has gone up and down, but it's never been zero before. So I'm not sure what to plan on for next month, but we just didn't know anything this month. Natural gas, we pay once again an average payment plan. So $52 is what we budgeted, and that's exactly what we paid. Same with our city bill. It is the same every month until they readjust it at some point throughout the year. Our life insurance, this is a fixed term life insurance policy for me. $11.10 is exactly what we pay. Our car insurance, to me, this is so sad. It's gone way up. We now have our oldest is 16. So she was on the policy before as a permit driver, but it didn't go up until she actually turned 16 and got her license. We have a girl, which is better than having a teenage boy. She has good grades. We also have the app. I have the app on my phone. My husband doesn't like it. And my daughter, we haven't put it on. I should put it on hers. But it tracks your driving. And if you have a good driving score, then it will discount your insurance policy. So I had not driven enough the previous 6 months for it to count. But now our policy, my discount should be going into effect. We just already had the automatic payments plan. So it should go down in the next couple of months by about 5%. But that's what it is for now. Phone bill is zero. We have switched to a prepaid plan. We're now using Mint Mobile. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. I do have a video reviewing Mint Mobile. It was when just our daughters were on it. Now my husband and I are using it. Overall, for the most part, we've been happy with it. But if you have questions, let me know. Internet is fixed, $79 for the month. We have since changed it. Just recently we changed it. So in September, we will change that. But for August, that's what we paid. Gas for our cars, we were under budget. I did get gas. We have Walmart Plus. And so a couple of times I was just at Walmart and just got gas there. And when it comes through Walmart Plus, it doesn't differentiate between Walmart, the grocery store, Walmart, the store versus Walmart, the gas, which is really annoying to me because pretty much everywhere else does. Like if I go to Costco, it comes in as Costco gas or just Costco. But Walmart, and I think it might be because I'm using the app, the Walmart Plus. I don't know. Anyway, I think one of my gas ups got plugged into our grocery budget because it came up as Walmart and I put it in groceries, but I'm not too concerned about that. Our daughter, 16, has not been paying gas over the summer because she did definitely do more driving because she was going to friends or the store, but a lot of her driving was running errands for us, taking kids places. Now that school is starting, she will be driving our truck to and from school, and she knows that she's responsible for paying for her gas. She doesn't have to drive to school. She could take the bus. And most of her, now that we're back into a school routine, most of her driving is kind of her fun stuff. So she knows she has to pay for gas. As parents, if we ever take the truck, I'm sure we'll gas up. But we want the expectation for her to pay for her own. So I'm thinking that $250 a month should cover it because she'll be paying for some gas. Piano for the month was $100. We are not doing any private tennis lessons, just piano lessons, $100 for the month. Guitar is $0. We stopped for the summer. We've been so busy with school starting and all of my other kids' extracurriculars that I haven't talked to the teacher about guitar lessons, and she hasn't approached us because I know she's super busy. So I'm leaving it in there in case we do add it in, but for now we're not doing guitar lessons. Groceries, we went over by $7.81, but like I said, I think one of these included a tank of gas, and our two daughters in high school are on the high school sports teams. We have paid for cross country. We did popsicles, like 200 popsicles on ice for one of the track meets. I'm doing that again in a couple weeks. For tennis, we have provided snacks and drinks and food for about 30 people. So that almost all came out of our grocery budget. So I'm feeling really good about only going over by $21. Eating out, $37.62. So we went over by a few dollars. Miscellaneous, we went way, way over. So my husband bought some new shoes, and they were like $140 or $150. And we did not have that much left in our clothing budget. So I didn't want to pull it out of our clothing budget. He said, so we paid for it on our credit card, but he said he would transfer money over from his personal account to cover them. But I told him to wait and see how we did for the month overall before we did that. So I just included it in miscellaneous. So we went way over budget there. So we'll see how we do overall in the budget. Kids money, this is just for when they do their jobs and mark off their charts and do absolutely everything on them. They earn some cash, and we paid out $26 this month. Entertainment, miscellaneous entertainment for our kids. I don't even remember what that was, but we spent $41. So you can see for our total expenses, we went over by about $200. Like I said, not too concerned. I like to look at the budget overall. So we'll finish going through and see where we are at the end. So moving on to debts, we don't have anything. We pay our credit card off every month. Just our mortgage, which I've already accounted for. So moving on to savings, this is short-term like sinking funds and long-term like retirement investments. Phones, I mentioned we're now doing Mint Mobile. It's a prepaid plan. So we are setting aside money each month for our phones so that in the spring, when we pay for our plans for next year, we've got the cash. I think we added up all of our plans ends up for all four of us end up being about $80 a month. So we're putting $100 aside so that we have money for phone upgrades or miscellaneous expenses if we need them. So we haven't spent anything. So we now have $400 set aside for phones. Emergency fund, we did not intentionally contribute anything, but most of our emergency fund is in a high yield savings account. In the chat, let me know where you keep your emergency fund. We keep most of ours in a high yield savings account, so it earns some interest. So this $68 is just the interest we've earned. So we now have $17,656. We also keep some cash in a safe in our house, but the bulk of it is in a high yield savings account. My husband's personal money, he gets $50 a month. So we budgeted 50, put 50 in. He only bought the shoes. Like I said, we didn't take it out of his account. So right now he's at basically $2,600. He is saving up to build out a new bike, and he's just waiting till he has enough cash to do everything. And when he has some time with school starting, he's been insanely busy right now with work, and our life with kids is just really busy. So I don't know how much he needs for that. I'm hoping soon, because bikes, I feel like a bike shouldn't be that expensive personally, but it's his money. So he does what he can do whatever he wants with it. My fun money, I budgeted 25. I put 25 into it. I spent 71. I think I bought some clothes, and I don't remember what else I bought. So I'm down to 125 in my account. Life insurance, we budget 68. We put 68 aside. So we now have almost 700. This is for my husband's term life insurance policy. I get asked all the time how much. It's $1 million policy. He is in extremely good health, never smoked. But when we got the policy, he was over 40. So he was a little bit older. It gets more expensive as you get older. So it's a little over $800 for the year. And that's due this fall. So we'll have enough by the time we owe that. House maintenance, we budgeted 20. We put 200 into our savings account for house maintenance, and we did not spend anything. This is like crazy. We've never not spent anything for house maintenance, I feel like. So we have almost 450 in there. But I'm sure with winter coming, there will be stuff. We've neglected our house while finishing building the addition. So I'm sure stuff will be coming. Vacation, we only budgeted 125, but we put 200 in. This is because it's automatically transferred from our checking account. Like the day after payday, it's automatically transferred into our savings. And I never went in and changed the automatic transfer. So we had 200 go in. I could go back and adjust it, but I haven't yet. I have changed it for next month for upcoming. We spent $3,800 because we booked flights for a family of 7 for spring break going to El Salvador. I could go more into detail. The first time I filmed this, I went into more detail, but we're now down to just under 900 in there. House updates, we did not budget anything. So the income I earned from my business, from my one-on-one coaching, my course sales, I get a little bit of ad revenue from YouTube, all of that income we try to put towards fun stuff. So usually it goes towards vacation. This month we put it all towards house updates. So we put all of my income towards house updates. You can see we spent $11,500. So this week we have the inspection for our garage with the apartment above it, our addition. So we are done with all the major stuff. the bulk of this in August, we were finishing up. We paid someone to do our cabinets and countertops. My husband could have done them, but we were just running out of time and energy. So we paid someone that could get them done faster than we'd be able to do them. So we paid, I think it was 8,000 for that, or maybe it was 9,000, something like that. And then we also put a down payment for a few more solar panels. The tax credit is ending in December for that. We have solar panels, but with the addition, we will use more the electricity in that apartment. At some point, we figure we'll have an electric vehicle. So we're adding some more solar panels. We paid for the down payment for that. So we now only have, we have 654 left in our garage addition budget. We've got pretty much everything done. I need to like order some stools for the kitchen. And there are a few supplies here and there as I was going through and inventorying, realized we need a few more things, but $600 should cover everything we need. Clothing, we budgeted 100, put 100 in, spent 55 on back to school for kids. We'd already bought most of our kids' stuff, but this was for our youngest two, clothes for them from consignment store. Gifts, we budgeted 75. We only put 50 in because once again, it was automatic transfer and I didn't adjust it. We spent 20, so we've got 35 left. Car expenses, we budgeted 125. We put 125 in. We spent 622, so we have 600 left. Kids extracurricular, we budgeted 400. We put 400 into it, but we spent 1,228. I could show you. So you can look, you can see we went over 622. So it's back to school. So we have some club fees for soccer, which are regular. Here in Utah, we pay school fees for middle school and high schoolers for like their classes. We also pay sports fees for the high school. So we have cross country and tennis fees for our two daughters. We paid some of those. We paid those fees. The sports fees and some of the school's fees are not due. We're not due in August. Some of them aren't due till the end of the year. Some of them are due like in October, some December, but I just went through and paid them all because I wanted to be done with it. So we went over 622. So really we're not negative 622 because I pulled out the 622 from our car expenses. We had the money there. I could have waited to pay some of these bills, but I wanted to just get them done. So I pulled out the 622 from here. So I'll have to adjust this. So we're just at zero in that account now. My Roth IRA and my husband's Roth IRA, we contributed the 400 that was planned. So as you can see, we went over by $100. Usually if we are over budget by a few dollars, I don't worry about it. Or if we're under budget by a few dollars, I don't worry about it. We keep a buffer in our checking account. $100 is usually kind of the cutoff. So I will look at our checking account. If I feel like our buffer needs a little bit more, I might transfer some money from my husband's account to cover his shoes and help our buffer. But I will look at that. So the way I do our budget, I just duplicate it. And I already did this once before I had my mute turned off. So the way I do this is I duplicate it and I will name it the new month. Currently, there we go. So I will rename it September. And then I just delete the actual. I like to keep the budgeted amount for reference, but then all of the actual payments I will delete and how much we spent and the beginning and this tracking. So I like to keep the budgeted amount for just frame of reference to know what I normally have. Now, my husband, our income, and then I'll just make tweaks. So our income is going to go up 6,175 because my husband, like I said, he's salary. They do get a pay raise. I think it's a 2% raise. And then we just did open enrollment. We made changes to our HSA, to our insurance, to our HSA contributions. The cost of insurance went up. So we did get a raise, but the cost of insurance went up. So I don't know exactly how much we're going to take. This is an educated guess. It will go up a little bit, not a huge amount. So that's an educated guess. We like to live off of my husband's income. We don't plan on any of my income. So I'll do zero there. We will earn some cash back and some interest, but I don't plan on it. We just let it accrue. So I'm going to budget zero for there. Tithing will go up 9 because we're making a little bit more money. I'm gonna guess about 930. something like that. Our mortgage is fixed. Our electricity, like I said, we were zero this month. I don't know what it will be. I think I'm just going to keep it at 53 for now. And if once they lower it and it goes down, then I'll adjust it. Natural gas, city, life insurance, car insurance, these are all the same. At some point, our 5% discount will kick into effect for car insurance, but I don't know when. Phone bill zero. Okay, internet. So we just this weekend upgraded to faster internet and they were offering a deal. So it's only $85 a month. So I could plug that in. But the entire reason we upgraded was for the apartment. If we're going to rent it out, we will need internet that will reach them and be faster because there will be more devices on it. And so I was debating having my work pay for our business pay for the internet. 95% of what I use internet for is work related, but as a family, we use it for other stuff too. So I think I have decided to kind of split it. I think personally we'll pay 45 and then the other 40 will come out of business expense because that's why we upgraded. I don't know. I think that's what we'll do. Technically you can deduct whatever percentage you use for work, and at least 50% of our internet usage is for our business. But so I think I'm just going to budget 45 for that and have our business pay for the rest. Gas for our cars, if you were paying attention earlier, I think 250 will cover it. Piano this month, so no, it's $50 per kid. We have a sister-in-law that teaches them and she charges more than that for her other students, but for family, she's only charging us $50 a month. We do have to drive like 25 minutes to get there. So by the time you add in gas, really, it would probably be cheaper to just do someone closer, but she's such a great teacher and we just want to stay with her. But our daughter that's doing tennis, she's not taking lessons this month. I tried to pay and my sister-in-law said, don't pay for her. And she'd still leave a slot open for her. Guitar, we are not going to worry about guitar this month. If we include one more activity, my brain might go haywire and explode. Groceries, $7.60. That's what we've been doing. So I think we'll leave that. Eating out, miscellaneous, kids. I think we're just going to leave this all the same and see how it works out. Phones contributing 100, emergency fund, nothing. My husband 50, me 25. All of these are prefixed. House maintenance, we have 200. Vacation is 125. I have since gone in and adjusted this automatic contribution. So it is 125, not 200. House updates, clothing 100, gift 75, car expenses. I have decided I think we can lower this to 100 because we had so much extra in there. Christmas, we're going to keep 0. Our cash back we'll put in there. So if you can see, we still have 105 left. So I can go through our clothing. We didn't have enough. I want to increase our clothing by 25. Gifts is 75. I think I want to increase our kids' extracurricular to $450 and then $30. I'm just going to add that to groceries for the month. So this is just because we're not paying for piano lessons this month, but I'm going to add it to how much do I have an extra 30. So I will add this $7.90. Did I do the math right? Woohoo! So 37 cents extra. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to tweak. The vacations automatically transferred at 125. Clothing is still 100. So I could go in and change the automatic transfer for clothing and for kids extracurricular. I might not do it this month. I might just manually transfer and see how things play out with my husband's actual take-home pay when we find out what that is. But this is how I plan. So now I've got it all. As I go to the grocery store, I will track it here so I know how much I have left for the month. Okay, any questions? Oh, Nicholas, you are curious about your sinking funds tab. Okay, let me know what questions you have about the sinking funds. So this is the budgeted amount is how much we will transfer into our sinking funds. The actual amount So budget is how much we plan to transfer in. Actual is how much we actually transfer in. And then, so the August, I will take this end balance and I'm going to copy this. So this is how much we had left in each account at the end of August. I am going to copy this and I will do a paste special. So it's just taking the numbers, not the formulas. So this is how much I had in each. And I mentioned we pulled out the 622 from our car fund. So that's just at zero now. So this is how much we plan to put in when we actually transfer the money over. That's what we actually put in. So this is all automatic. It was already done. We're at the first, already been done. So I already put 100 into phones, 50 to my husband's, 25 to me, 68 here, 200 into house maintenance. Only 100 was put in. No, 125 went into vacation. Oops. But only 100 was put into clothing. But I'm going to go in and transfer another 25 right now. 75 into gifts and car expenses, 100. And then only 400 was put into kids extracurricular. I can go in and transfer another 50 right now. So I guess I'll do that right now. So this is showing me now that we have all this money transferred into those accounts, this is how much I have in each account. And then as the month goes, I'll keep track of how much I spend and then I'll enter it in. So I always know how much I have left in the sinking funds. I get asked this all the time. A lot of people have one savings account for all of their sinking funds, and that is great. If that works for you, I personally use Ally or SoFi for business sinking funds. But for my personal sinking funds, I use Ally. So these are all different buckets. So I have one checking or one savings account, but I have a bucket for phones. So I can see exactly how much I have in phones. We have a bucket for my husband's, my fund money. So I know exactly how much is in each of those. Some people just have one savings account for all of their sinking funds, and then you can use this to keep track of it. I just like to have it visually separated as much as possible. So I use the bucket. If you have any questions, Nicholas, let me know. Hopefully that answered them and didn't just make you more confused. Kelly, teacher Kelly, it's good to see you. It's been a long time. So if there are no other questions, questions. So the tab next to September, that's labeled sinking funds, is just your list. Okay, good question. So I'll show you. This is what I do at the beginning of the year. So usually I do it like December, January. I just list out how much I think we will need for sinking funds. I don't have to do this so much now because I've been doing it for so long, but I use this more for clients that are just getting started. If you've never set aside money for sinking funds, I like to just list them out by the month and then list out possible sinking funds. So I don't use all of these, but just possible. So for us, for example, our life insurance, it's $820 and we pay that in October. So it's just nice to go through and see like, okay, our vacation. So this was for 2025. So we did a vacation. It was actually in February or March, but we had to pay for everything in January. So I guessed about what we would need in January. And then it must have been in February. And then February is when we actually took the trip, and we needed some cash for the trip. And then in July, we were doing a family trip. That's how much we would need. So I just kind of list out how much I think we're going to need for the year, roughly when we're going to need it. It is not an exact science, not perfect, but I like to go through and list that out. So like you can see here, kids extracurricular, we weren't doing much, but then I knew in May we'd have a big expense and then bigger expenses. So I just do my best guess. And then it does the math for me and tells me this is how much we need for each sinking fund for the year. And so if I divide it by the month, so this is how I know how much to set aside for each fund. So we know we need 68 for our life insurance. We need 187 for house maintenance. So I just rounded. So you can see here's what I actually did. I rounded up for most of them or down. So that's just how I figure out how much. If you are brand new and don't know how much you're going to need for these, then that's when I like to look back at last year, how much I spent for each of them last year. So that's why some of these are exact. I must have gone back like for car expenses and looked at exactly how much we spent. But that's just to give me an overall idea for the sinking funds for the year. I hope. Oh, good. I'm glad that clarified things for you. Any other questions from anyone else? That link for the waitlist, you can sign up for the free virtual summit. Like I mentioned, 20 expert speakers in personal finance, some people sharing how they got out of debt, talking about investing, achieving financial independence. I got someone talking about how to save money on groceries, someone on how to do allowances with your kids, experts in their fields coming to share completely free. Registration will be open soon, but if you add your name and email to the wait list, you'll get notified as soon as it's available. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat. Okay, wait, question just came through. I'm really confused on how to categorize the money I pulled out of my savings account when doing budgeting. That is really a great question. It depends on how you're doing it. If you're using an app versus a spreadsheet, how you do it. So if you were watching this earlier, I pull it out of let me just share my screen. That might be easier. Okay. So if you are using an app, most of your apps, if you have a sinking fund, you can just transfer from one. Like if you're using Monarch Money and you run out of money in a sinking fund and have to pull it from another, you can just pull it from that account and it doesn't affect anything. Here in the spreadsheet, it's a little bit trickier. So for kids extracurricular, I went over budget. So I went over 622. So I still wanted things categorized correctly. So I still categorized it under kids extracurricular. And so I went negative 622. So I just transferred 622 from another account. And we transferred it from our car expenses since we had extra there. So then I allotted 622. So now I only have 600 there. But then when I go to September, I will start fresh at 0. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But typically, if you are pulling it out, you don't need to. So if you're using a budgeting app, you categorize when you spend the money. So for us in this example, we spent money on kids' sports and school fees. So I want them to be categorized as sports and kids' fees. And then when I transfer money, that doesn't need to be counted as an expense. So it's when I swipe the credit card and paid for school fees, that's when they got categorized. But when I transferred money from savings into my checking account to pay for it, I don't categorize. That's just a transfer. So that doesn't count against you. So if you're using a budgeting app, you would count it as a transfer. Transfers don't count against you. For me here, I just transfer the money. It's all manual, so I don't account for the transfers in here. Okay, more coming. There's another question. I mean, do you not supposed to have white noise? That's like the worst silence, right? Like radio silence. So while we're waiting for that question to come through, with the sinking funds, you can leave all of the money for sinking funds inside your checking account. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You can just let it accumulate in your checking account, but you have to know in your brain that that money is allotted for stuff. I don't do well with that. I like it visual. So I transfer it out of checking into a savings account. And then I pay for everything on the credit card at the end of the month when the credit card's due. If I use money from sinking funds, I will transfer it back into checking. Oh, do I add this as an expense in my spreadsheet? When I transfer money, no, because it's all my money. I just categorize it and add it in my spreadsheet when I buy the thing. So if I bought tickets for our family to go to El Salvador. So I spent $3,800. So when I typed in my credit card info and spent the money, when I purchased it, that's when I will categorize it. So I've got that included right here for our vacation. But at the end of the month, I transferred $3,800 from our sinking fund into our checking account. I don't record that anywhere in here. So that would be like doubling up. You'd be expensing it twice if you do that. So when I pay for the item, I do that. And then when I transfer the money into my checking account, because I've been setting aside money for vacation every month. So there's money over here for that. When I transfer the money back into the checking account to pay for the bill, I don't record that. So I hope that answered your question. Any other questions? Sorry, this was so long. Yes, I'm glad. I'm glad that answered your question. Any other questions come up, leave them in the chat. I am not sure if I'm going to continue doing these live recordings. It's a little bit tricky doing them on the exact dates and planning for the amount of time it takes. I might continue to do them inside my membership. I'm not sure. If you really like them, let me know. But if you have questions, leave them in the comments. I normally am pretty good about staying up to date on comments. Over the summer, I got way behind. I'm now just going in and getting caught up on all the summer comments. But usually within a couple of days, I respond to comments. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will do my best to answer them. Doesn't want to end.